नाम्ने गौरद्विषे नमः। नमो ब्राह्मण देवाय गोब्राह्मण हिताय च जगद्वीताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितनं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। तो प्रभुपाद की जय हो। हैप्पी एकादशी टू ऑल डिवोटीज। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यमुना तीर वनचारी, यमुना तीर वनचारी, यमुना तीर वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय प्रभुपाद की जय हो। Today we are reciting the shloka from 41, chapter 87, personified Vedas Stuti. श्लोका 41, श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय हो। द्युपतय एव तेन ययुरनन्तमनन्ततया त्वमपि यदन्तरण्डनिशया मन्ननुसावर्णः ह एव रञ्जासि वान्ति वयसा सह यश्रुतय त्वयि फलन्तयन्त निरसनेन भवनिधना। Because you are unlimited, neither the Lord of heaven nor even yourself can ever reach the end of your glories. The countless universes, each enveloped in itself, are compiled by the wheel of time to wander within you, like particles of dust blowing about in the sky. The Shrutis, following their method of eliminating everything separate from the Supreme, become successful by revealing you as their final conclusion. श्रीभगवानुवाच इत्येतद्ब्रह्मण पुत्रा आश्रित्यात्मानुशासनम् सनन्दनम् अथानर्चुसितात् ज्ञात्वात्मनो गतिम्. The Supreme Lord Sri Narayan Sri Rishi, having heard these instructions about the Supreme Self, the personality of Godhead, the Son of Brahma, now understood their final destination. They felt perfectly satisfied and honored Sanandana with their worship. इत्यशेष समान समामन्या पुराणो यपुनिषद्रस् समुद्धृत पूर्वजातेर्व्योमयानेर्महात्मभिः. Thus the ancient saints who travel in the upper heaven distill this nectarian and confidential essence of all the Vedas and Puranas. त्वं चेदत्प्रमदायाद श्रद्धयात्मानुशासनम् धारयं स्वरं गां कामानां भजनं नृणाम्. And as you wander the earth at will, my dear son of Brahma, you should faithfully meditate on these instructions concerning the signs of the self, which burn up the material desire of all men. श्रीशुक उवाच एवं स ऋषीणां दृष्टं गृहीत्वा श्रद्धयात्मवान् पूर्णश्रुतधरो राजन् आह वीरव्रतो मुनिः. Sukadeva Goswami said, when Sri Narayan Rishi ordered him in this way, the self-possessed sage Narada, whose vow is as heroic as a warrior's, accepted the command with firm faith. And now successful in all his purposes, he thought about what he had heard, O king, and replied to the Lord as follows. श्रीनारद उवाच नमस्तस्मै भगवते कृष्णायामलकीर्तये यो दत्ते सर्वभूतानां भवायोषति कलः. Sri Narada said, I offered my obeisances to him of spotless fame, the Supreme Lord Krishna, who manifests his all-attractive personal expansion so that all living beings can achieve liberation. इत्यादयं ऋषिम् आनम्य तशिष्यांश महात्मनः ततो गाद आश्रमं साक्षात् पितृदेवपायनस्य मे. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continue. After saying this, Narada bowed down to Sri Narayan Rishi and the foremost of sages and also to his saintly disciples. He then returned to the hermitage of my father Dwepayan Vyas. सभाजितो भगवता कृतासन परिग्रह तस्मै तद्वर्णयामास नारायणमुखाश्रुतम्. Vyasadeva, the incarnation of the personality of Godhead, respectfully greeted Narada Muni and offered him a seat, which he accepted. Narada then described to Vyas what he had heard from the mouth of Sri Narayan Rishi. इत्येतद्वर्णितं राजन् यन्न प्रश्नकृतस्त्वया यथा ब्रह्मण्यनिर्देशे निर्गुणेऽपि मनश्चरेत्. Thus I have replied to the question you ask me, O king, concerning how the mind can have access to the absolute truth, which is indescribable by material words and devoid of material qualities. योऽस्योक्तप्रेक्षक आदिमत्यनिधने यो व्यक्तजीवेश्वरो यः सृष्टवेदमनुप्रविश्य ऋषीणां चक्रे पुरः सास्थितः यं सम्पदय जहात्यं चामनुषैः सुप्तकुलायं यथा तं कैवल्यनिरस्तरयोनिम् अभयं ध्यायेत् अशस्त्रं हरिम्. He is the Lord who eternally watches over this universe, who exists before, during, and after its manifestation. He is the master of both the unmanifested material energy and the spirit soul. After sending forth and the creation, he enters within it, accompanying each living entity. There he creates the material bodies and then remains as their regulator. By surrendering to him, one can escape the embrace of illusion. Just as the dreaming person forgets his own body, one who wants liberation from fear should constantly meditate upon him. Lord Hari, who is always on the platform of perfection and thus never subject to material birth. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय हो। एकादशी महारानी की जय हो। हरे कृष्णा, धनुष प्रणाम टू ऑल डिवोटीज। हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, धनुष प्रणाम।
Hare
थैंक यू
Krishna.
फॉर सो वंडरफुल सेवा।
Hare Bol. Thank you. Thank you, Mataji, very much. Welcome, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome back. So first offer my prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam tam sajivam sadavaitam savadhutam parijana sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhavitamscha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय श्री प्रभुपाद नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम पदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतिशे नमः O most magnificent incarnation, you are Krishna himself, appearing as Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden complexion of Srimati Radharani, and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer respectful obeisances unto you. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangostra Parshadam Yagnai Sankirtana Praye Yajanti Sumedasaham. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Shri Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Nana Sastra Vicharnaik Nipunau Shardharma Samsthapakau Lokanam Hitakarinau Tribhuane Manyo Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna पदारविंद भजना आनंदेन मत्तालिकम् वंदे रूप सनातन रघुयुगौ श्री गोपाल श्री जीव गोपालकौ I offer my respectful obeisance unto the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatana Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are expert in scrutinizing and studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds and they are worth taking shelter of because they are engaged in the mood of the gopis and they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and they are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narom Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय श्री प्रभुपाद जय श्री गोविंदम आदि पुरुषम तमं भजामि Hare Krishna everyone. Please accept my mother's obeisances. All right, Shri Prabhupada. Welcome back. So actually I have lost track actually what I did last week. Today are we supposed to do lesson 132 or 133? Can somebody remind me?
Yeah, Prabhuji.
132, Prabhuji.
132.
But 131, the sloka 29, you did not complete. So we completed sloka last week, 25, 26, 27, 28.
Okay, 29 we will do. Okay.
29 we need to do.
Thank you. Somebody's going to recap, right?
Yeah, it's a mine, Prabhuji.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
So
Thank you.
let me share and let's go ahead. Okay. Share. Okay, and where you go here? Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So we'll start with that. So let me come 25. Let me start where I have to begin. Okay, yeah, from here. Okay, Hare Krishna devotees. So today, I will try to go very high because it's a lot of philosophy, lot of details are there, and we want to give a lot more time to Charu Prabhuji. We'll touch base. Primarily, we'll touch base slokas 25 because Charu Prabhuji has put a lot of efforts into that. Let's understand, those six, those shastras, and these are really mind-boggling. My understanding is that these were developed during Satyuga, and so these are different, you know, uh, different sages came, and they. But it is a really nice. When I see that, even only missing part is that they don't link with the Supreme Lord. But otherwise, how they come with a different people come with a different seeing the same material nature, and it's eternity. They are trying to come to the conclusion, and Surti is trying to say that Surti represents the absolute truth because it is a breath of the Lord, and nothing truth exists beyond Him. So it's all a Purusha, or it's spoken by the Lord. So everything what Lord says is perfect, and the Srutis are trying to find out. They become a critic and try to find out where the six shastras propounded in the Satyuga, and many people, even as of today, they want to believe in that. But the missing link, so nicely brought. Only one point we have to remember: there's a missing connection. They try to look everything through the materialized material perspective, and but there is no link with the Lord. Why they are appearing? They take in isolation. If you look at that, maybe the Shruti looks. There are different approaches are there, but we connect with the Lord and understand with that, then we see how it falls, right? So that is what, with that introduction, I think let's dive in with that. So 25 slokas, this is the it's the heart of today's discussion. So the out of six uh, basically out of six shastras, five are criticized, but the sixth one is not there. So I will have few questions here, and then I will just walk through. Otherwise, if we have question everything, I don't think we have time that much to finish on that. So uh, chapter 87 and slokas 25 talks of ignorance of the body and not of the soul. This
So
is
Prabhuji,
the
excuse me.
Yes,
Excuse me.
go.
If you need some more time, go ahead. Please do it.
Okay, Prabhuji. So you stop me where we want, because so many details are there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
Because
yeah,
lesson
it's
132 is
ignorance
quite
of the
easy. Lesson
yeah.
132 is quite easy,
Okay, Prabhuji. So ignorance of the body and not for the soul. This is the most of the time you just see that they believe soul also comes under the influence of three modes of material. Once we understand that really where things are going wrong, then all those five shastras we can really understand much better. Okay, with that we'll start. So here Shruti talks deliver pertinent critique of five shastras. So the sixth one is missing here. So I have a simple question: what is the sixth one missing? The shastra. Which shastra is not mentioned here?
Uttar Mimamsa by Srila Vedavyasi.
What's the other name for that?
Other name, yes.
Or common name?
Vedanta Sutra.
Very
Vedanta
good.
Sutra. Perfect. So, because Charu Prabhuji mentioned there are Vedanta Sutras also both way interpreted, but there is a Lord God is involved because all the sutras are mentioned. So, this has been separate out, right? Vedas is not directly criticizing, at least in this place. Okay, so let's go little bit up below. It highlights the profound misunderstanding of existing distinction between Atma and Jivatma. So Prabhuji has explained very nicely. Atma is a pure soul. Connect with the soul, I think it becomes easy. Jivatma, conditioned soul, and Paramatma, who is the control of everything. I think if you understand those three parts separately, it becomes very easy to do that. And misunderstanding is basically Jivatma comes under the influence of three modes of material nature, but Atma is a small part and parcel of the Paramatma for the Lord. It appears to come under the influence of the modes of material nature, and that's the illusion start. Again, I think this is
Sorry,
with that.
I'm interruption. I just to
Yeah.
make sure that because you're going too fast, go slowly.
Okay.
I'll give you up to 45 minutes. Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you. So understand this. I'm just trying to lay out that something so it becomes easy. Atma, Jivatma, and Paramatma, right? So one comes with the under the influence is called Jivatma, and that we understand condition. And Atma is a pure soul. But that Paramatma never comes under the influence of three modes of material nature. It's above everything. It is a transcendental. We are also part and parcel of the Paramatma, part like a separated part and parcel. So being, even though we are spiritual, we come under influence of three modes of material nature, and that becomes kind of Jivatma. I think with that three words put there, let's go further. So the first question answered nicely. Let's go to the second question. The Shrutis revered uh, why the story, the Shrutis revered for their unparalleled wisdom. So can somebody, I just question why Shrutis represent the absolute truth? Why not, other things like, our Shastras and, there are many other like Vedanta Sutras or, other thing. Why Shrutis is called absolute truth? This is the question. How the Shrutis are originating?
Because they are the breath of the Lord. They are
Yeah.
coming out from the breath of
Yeah.
the Lord. That's
Shrutis are
why they are
Apurusha.
Apurusha.
directly from
Apurusha.
Lord. Yeah,
Yes.
it is from His Swasa. Okay, and because of that, it is absolute truth. Yeah,
Absolute truth. So whatever Shruti says, there's no challenge.
Sure.
People can come with a different thing, but at the end of that, everybody aligns with Shruti. So nice word used here is unparalleled wisdom and authority. Why authority? Because it sets the motion everything. Shruti decides karma kanda, gyan kanda, upasana kanda, dhyan kanda, and everything. It decides. It lays out everything. It's not only knowledge, but it lays out everything, all that entire process. So that is what is the second question. So let's go little down. Understanding how the Shrutis categorically refute the five philosophies, and we saw that only one is basically excused from here. So
Prabhu, for
here,
me, slide is not changing. Is for others are changing.
what is that?
Slide movement is not happening for me. If for
Okay,
others it is changing. Okay. It is changing now, Prabhu. Can you change?
I'm changing now. I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm to slide 14. I'm still
14
on
only.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still on 14. Well, I have another question here. Okay, so the key, initially we'll spend some time and then we'll little fast because this once everything is set in motion. The key points to grasp in this understanding of the fallacies of philosophy, because this is the case, is a dualistic misconception and ignorance. So what is that dualities we are talking about? It is coming next somewhere. It's a mentioned better way, but let's understand that word. What is the dualistic we are talking?
Duality is, but I missed last week's Sunday session, Prabhu, because of some other thing. Uh, it is like Sukha Dukkha, okay, and whatever dualities we see in this world, okay, which is because of the material world, okay, Labh Nashta, okay, Sukha Dukkha,
Okay,
all these
Prabhuji,
things.
I think we have little different meaning here. I think
Oh,
let's
is it?
go with
Okay. Sorry,
that.
Prabhu. Last week's
So,
session I missed, Prabhu.
Okay, no problem. So dualities are consciousness and activities. Okay, so you understand the eventually will come down. The soul, it is not inert, right? Soul also interacts, right? So all the activities that happens and the consciousness, they are linked. Right now, let's take that word and we'll go forward. Okay, so clarification of Prakriti Atma, I think I'll go to the next one. Okay, so here 6 philosophies starts. So I'll just go to the, I think, slide 16. I think it starts, begin here. So Vaisesika philosophy talks basically atomic everything. They boil down to they look through microscope, they study and all that, and they categorize, calls the dravya and the gunas. So one item or like that, we engineers, we study all Mendele's table, right? One metal and it's a characteristic kind of thing you can connect with that. So dravya is a gunas, that is what they look. So question here is there. We'll have 5 questions. This is fundamentally we have to understand. So what is the claim of Vaisheshika philosophy and how it is refuted? So let's discuss on that. So somebody can say what is the claim? What is the key? Because Vaisheshika talks about a lot of things. Out of that, only one or some part of that, our main essence is disputed, right? Refuted. So what is the claim? Can somebody explain? I highlighted. I will begin. Okay, somebody is on. So the notion is fundamental atomic, atomistic. Can somebody wants to say? Go ahead.
Where everything in the universe can be explained through these basic building blocks.
Okay. So categories of everything material, they see with the eyes, whatever you see, they are categorized items and items, substance and their attribute, because each item has got like a Mandela's table. I said in early school level, which say aluminum has specific qualities, this metal has got a specific, like that. Every item in this material world has got specific. So they are going on the, as Prabhuji mentioned, dravya and gunas, right? That is what. So they are boiling down the building blocks. So what is the wrong in that?
You
So
see,
because everything exists, right?
one minute, only. Folks, everybody just pay attention to the very first sentence. There's a fallacy right there. The very first sentence, you'll get a clue. Read the first sentence, Prabhuji.
Okay, so you claim or reputation?
No, the very first sentence of Vaisheshika philosophy claim Vaisheshika posits that what?
Yeah, Vaisheshika posits that reality is made of distinct substance, dravya and their qualities.
Stop it now. The reality is made of distinct substance, dravya and their qualities. Does it sound something right for you? What is the reality? If you understand reality, then you'll get the answer. What is the reality? Everybody? What is reality?
Yeah, it's made up of atoms and stool things like dravyas and.
No. Reality is generally referred to who?
Everything is emanated from the Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead. It
Yes,
is a
exactly. Reality, ultimate reality is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes,
and here, the Vaisheshika philosophy says that reality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they don't call it supreme person of God. The absolute truth, we are talking about,
Yeah.
is made of this
Anu and Parmanu.
material elements. Does it sound right to you?
No,
No,
no, no.
no, Prabhuji.
The very first
No
just give
transcendence mentioned.
Okay, quiet, continue, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So again, as Prabhuji was mentioning, Visheka overlooks the transcendental unified nature of the Supreme Being. It is not that item coming, existing by its own, right? There is a creator. It is coming from, there is a connection with that. So Visheshika overlooks the transcendental unification nature, connection with the Supreme Being, the Atman, soul. The Shruti asserts that the true essence of soul transcends physical categorization, right? And inherent connected with the divine. So everything that we see has a connection. Even Chaturshakvi Bhagavad, Krishna talks about if there's anything exists, if you don't find connection with me, that doesn't exist. It's just illusion, right? Illusion. So again, you can see connect with that. So this understanding implies that the existence cannot be reduced to mere particle. So why the particles are there? Is there any support and all that? We have to see holistic. I think that is Charupada mentioned. I think we'll go ahead. So reality that integrates the material and spiritual. That is the essence. That's what Prabhuji was talking. It's not a material like a building block. We see the skin, we see eyes, we see trees. There's a existing for that, right? So that's what we look.
Prabhu, there is a Shakti and Shaktiman, both are exist.
Both are coming. Correct. At the end, I think that is how it boils down, right? So eventually, right? So they are missing that lane. So next is the Nyaya. So what is the Nyaya claims in a brief, 1 or 2 line? I have just highlighted.
Nyaya claims that one can attain liberation by logic and reasoning, and that it is through the process of anumana that one can attain moksha. That is what it claims.
Yeah. So everything is a logical. And Prabhuji gave A is equal to B, B is equal to C, so A equal to C. This anuman, right? And deduction. There are primarily three. Srila Prabhupada mentions in many places. So if everything is a logical in a material world, also we give a logic, right? If this is there, if you see the light, then there must be sun, right? So what is the wrong here? So how it is defeated here?
Because their
They
goal is
forget
to
the
destroy consciousness.
It destroys the consciousness.
Ultimate goal is destroy consciousness. That is the root of suffering.
Okay, so genuine liberation does not come from annihilation of consciousness. Why they are talking about? You can just Nyayikas. I got few things. Gautam Rishi developed that, right, Prabhuji? So destruction of a soul of consciousness. So I was just reading that Krishna book. I found out something. So I will bring it here. It talks about the Nyayas. They go down to the six senses, six sense objects, and six whirlpools. They talk about heat, cold, hunger, thirst, greed, illusion, right? All those things. So they boil down all those basically things, and they see that why we are having a pain, because the consciousness which is flowing the nerves or whatever you can talk about. So their idea is that if you can destroy that conscious, so we'll be happy, right? So that is the kind of understanding here. So here Shruti counters this and insisting that genuine liberation does not come from annihilation of consciousness. So what Nyaya talks about logically, if who gives the trouble, that consciousness gives, otherwise hand itself separate, it doesn't have, it's one of the indriya, right? So the consciousness gives trouble, so kill the consciousness. So rather, how it is refuted by Shruti, it says genuine revelation does not come from annihilation of consciousness or disconnecting, rather comes from realizing eternal nature of conscious self. Consciousness takes us up toward the Lord, right? So they are missing that. I'll go to the next. Now Sankhya, I think it should be easy. So what is here? What is the
Prabhuji,
claim?
regarding
Sankhya?
Nyaya, Prabhuji,
Yes.
if we purify our consciousness, then it gives its real nature. If we purify this.
Yes. So just because there's a pain, you don't cut hand, right? So there's a hand, there's a cancer or something, just like that we don't cut because hand is connected to the body, right? It has to be connection. So as you say that real consciousness that understand from where coming, the consciousness transforms our because everything is a mind, right? Everything is a mind, and that consciousness is a material consciousness. When it transforms to the spiritual, understanding his supremacy. I think next 3 slokas talks about his supremacy and how the senses are connected. In that also, Lord is the controller. We'll see that part also. Okay. So this is what is the Sankhya philosophy, claim.
Sankhya philosophy claims that we have to detach from this material world to achieve the liberation, Prabhu. That is their main core. Yeah.
So this Sankhya, there are 2 Kapilas, right? So which Kapila we are talking about here?
I think Bhagavatam Kapila. No, not Bhagavatam Kapila.
Imposter Kapila.
Yeah. Impersonal Kapila we are talking about.
Yeah.
Bhagavatam
Because
Kapila
in
talks about
Bhagavatam
only
Kapila,
bhakti, pure bhakti.
yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Correct, right? So that imposter Kapila talking about. So basically, Sankhya philosophy talks about analysis, number, right? Sankhya is number, material world, like and talks about jivas, right? So in trying to see that connection, right? That is there. So liberation is attained by understanding the distinction between Purusha, consciousness, and Prakriti, nature, right? So it teaches true knowledge involves recognizing that the Atman is separate from material qualities. So it is not impacted soul, even though it's a minute, if it is in material, it can get impacted, but soul's nature is also eternal. So cause here, I highlighted only those things, cause of bondage, detachment with the material, right? And if you are not attached to the material, everything will be okay. That is the Sankhya philosophy, detached. So how it is refuted? How it is nullified? I highlighted. You can read and explain.
Detachment from material qualities and it alone leads to liberation.
That is what they say. But how reputation, Sankhya separation conscious from activity? Yeah. Not a just passive observer. But intrinsically involved in this world. Yeah, Prabhuji gave good example, right? Soul is not a passive. That it takes one soul is a condition because it's a minute nature, even though it's a transcendental. Because Prabhuji mentioned again and again, because it's a minute nature, it is a overwhelmed with 3 modes of material nature, and then it comes to the illusion. And at that time, so soul also acts. And Prabhuji gave one example from Srimad Bhagavatam, nice pastime. Does anybody remember here? It linked with Bharat Maharaj and something?
यस प्रभुजी, जब भी भरत महाराज डियर के बॉडी में थे तभी भी उनको भक्ति याद थी उनकी.
Preaching to Rahuguna.
Yes, preaching to Rahuguna.
Yeah. Okay, I think we'll go further. Our time is, I think. Okay, the next is yoga. I think this should be easy. Yoga. So what is the claim of yoga, which is disputed here?
One tries to control mind and senses. And tries to attain samadhi level.
Yeah. So my mechanical process, you can achieve, supreme purpose or absolute truth, right? That's what is the Patanjali talks about. Mind and senses control, right? Prabhuji gave us many slokas, 45 slokas or something on that. So how it is refuted here? Shrutis?
It says that mechanical way, it diminishes the spiritual journey. But liberation is an awakening to the divine presence rather than mechanical achievement.
Yeah, so it is not only mechanical, it's a mind soul's transformation, right? We saw so many times. Prabhuji explained so nicely. So it is not a mechanical process by doing that Ashta yoga process, right? One automatically goes to samadhi. There also, a lot of things are there. We don't have really time to go through yam, niyam, asana, pranayam, pratyahar. Every stage, there is something to give up and connect to the internal. That is what happens here. But just pure mechanical process, if you are talking about, it is not there. So liberation is awakening to the divine presence, right? In 400 Narayan form inside. That is a mechanical, so it is cannot be achieved by mechanical process. So that is the fourth one. Let's go to the fifth.
So in nutshell, Prabhu, that love angle is missing. Okay.
Love and devotion is missing.
Devotion or prema
Yes.
tattva is missing. Okay. Because of that,
Yes.
we are calling it as a mechanical, in my understanding.
Yeah. Correct. I think we are coming. A lot of things are here. Further what you say, those points are has in Charpur is given nicely. As we go. So what is the Puru Mimansa theory and what is the claim?
It focuses on the rituals and karma actions.
Yeah, rituals.
So
the goal
our
is
karma decides everything, right?
Yeah.
Just
So
do karma. Nothing else.
So it is said that goal is to perform actions correctly to secure favorable outcome. I like this word, favorable outcome. That's what everybody wants. Do good karma. Don't do any bad karmas, right? But it's not possible. So such as higher birth, debit card, because it can only elevate us to higher, maybe Swargaloka or Janloka, Maharloka. We don't go beyond the material, right? With that. So how Shrutis are refuting that?
Because it is limited. It focuses on the material actions and their results.
Yeah. Yes. So
cycle of karma. Okay. It will
they
again
don't know.
continue.
They don't know the cycle of karma.
Cycle of karma continues. Yeah.
Yeah. Only a karma can liberate us. If you want debug into that, a karma can liberate us, right? Any service to the Lord can liberate. Otherwise, karma, good or bad karma, can take up or down, right? All those karmic reactions. So our aim is to understand the absolute truth means eternity. That is the purpose, right? That's what we are looking here. Just looking, going up eternity, not the birth, death, old age. This is anyway there in the material. So I'll go to the next one. So I will go very quickly because I need to wrap up in a 15 minutes time and hand over to Charupur. Dualistic misconception. Here details are given here. Same we are on the 25th sloka because more details are here. So Jivatma are defined by three modes of material nature because we saw Jiva, Jivatma, Atma and Jivatma, right? Jivatma's condition. So how is conditioned? By Maya or three modes of material nature, dualistic conception of ignorance. That's the, but here the soul doesn't come under the three modes of material nature. It can only come because of our minute nature, and if you want to attach with that, right, then only it can come. So second point, so dualistic misconception of ignorance. So Jivatma can come, the soul gives goodness passion born from ignorance of vidya, right? We don't have proper understanding. That is why it is there. So impact of the Jivatma versus Paramatma. So this flawed perception pertains to individual embodied Atman. We have gone through many times this one. So transcendence of Paramatma. Soul or God exists beyond the realm. Soul, eternal, right? That is exists beyond the realm of this material there. Divine state embodies perfect awareness and understanding, inspires awe and reverence. So when we understand the divine, his absolute nature, we worship and we only come under his control or whatever is there. So Maya, I'll go last year. Maya often understood as illusion, represents the material energy and that fosters ignorance, basically. And it keeps us away from the God. It entices us to see the world as a distinct from the God. It says whatever you see material world is true and nothing exists beyond that, right? So he wants to keep into this material world. So I'll go to the again 25. Lot of details are there, Prabhuji. I may not be able to go because
That's
there
okay.
are 3 more slokas has to
If you
cover.
can just do 25 alone,
Yeah.
that's more than enough. That is the most important verse.
Okay. Oh, I'll go, Prabhuji. I agree.
Just
Other things
25.
we can go in a 1 minute. I can just walk through. I'll take 5 minutes, 5 or 10
Just
minutes here.
explain 25, that's all.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you. So here, Paramatma, total consciousness, that is coming from Paramatma. Possess a complete and total consciousness, signifying God's profound awareness and enlightenment. So, he is a Paramatma, right? He is a full consciousness, total consciousness there, signifying God profound awareness and enlightenment, unlike the embodied. We are also, the sloka is coming here. We are also eternal. We are also consciousness. Everything is there. So we have small. God has. God is Vibhu. We are Anu. To that level, it is there. So here is a very nice analogy of a light and darkness. Analogy of light vividly illustrate that just as darkness cannot obscure brilliance of the sun. Very nice example was given here. Just because there's a cloud, temporarily looks like there's no sun, disappeared, but it's not the truth. That is our ignorance. So the truth prevails, right? So ignorance cannot conceal Paramatma. Paramatma is so vivid because his hands and legs are everywhere. Krishna talks about, he walks, he doesn't walk, he sees, he doesn't see, or he has eyes, no eyes, but he does everything, right? So Paramatma's footprints are everywhere. Okay, so you cannot avoid Paramatma and just cannot get into the just material ingredients, right? Eventually, that is the meaning of that. Pallas is the philosopher. Here, the erroneous notion propagated by various philosophers, such as the belief that material world is the only reality. This is the only problem, right? In the beginning, so there's no connection. It exists in by itself, right? Or the God is a merely figment of human imagination. I think we'll go further on that next. Here we'll spend a little bit of time. Clarification of misinterpretation. This is a very nice to understand on 25. So distinction between Atman and Jivatman. So as we talk, Atman is
take time, okay? This is a very key slide.
Yeah, this is the key slide. Yes, that's what I will spend little time. Distinction between Atman and Jivatman. So as Prabhuji mentioned, Atman is the absolute soul, but when it is impacted by 3 modes of materialment, it's Jivatma. It's a condition. One is condition, one is liberated. That's the basically. So the Atman or soul being Satchit Anand is fundamentally free from ignorance. There's nothing because its eternity is there, Anand is there, and bliss, everything is there. It has got full consciousness. Satchit also, right? Full consciousness. Jiva, the condition Jivatma, even though it's a minute, it has that chit potential, but it is a covered, right? That's we see that. So again, that is the distinction here, free from ignorance, right? Here, the role of physical body. The third parameter comes here, physical body, and Prakriti's 3 gunas. So body is impacted and not the pure soul. And all that karmas or that we go through the cycle, suffering and all that, it's a body related, it's not the soul. But apparently, as the Rahuguna's example, if you connect with that, the question was, if soul is a separate, then why we suffer? And Charupati explained, I think couple of times he mentioned this time also. So it's the only body suffers, not soul. But since we are connected with that, soul also minute comes under the influence. Apparently, he is impacted, right? That's why activity and activities of the soul and consciousness, the duality was mentioned previous slide. So here, the confusion we experience stems from our physical body and mind, heavily influenced by 3 modes of material nature. Different gunas, again, different things one can see that. Failure of philosophy. Again, this is also very nicely. The various philosophy systems falter by mistakenly attributing the qualities of ignorance and duality to the Atman itself. So they believe that ignorance, the soul is also ignorant. And he's just like any other material. And that was a fallacy, primer fallacy. They overlook the fact that these traits arise from the interaction of the material nature, prakriti. Philosophies misinterpret liberation, believing it necessitates the annihilation of consciousness or its attribute. So by killing consciousness, everything is done. That is not the case. Consciousness is a symptom. It's a life. Like if only hands, legs, and our physical body is that there's no consciousness, it's a dead body. So how we connect, how we feel, how we do anything, nothing is there. So again, necessity of annihilation of consciousness is not the solution, right? Failure of that is their understanding everywhere. If you go one by one, they go to the root as they see and they remove that root, so problem is solved, right? That is there. So next, Prabhuji, I'll just go through very quickly. 26, 27.
Don't worry about it. Take 10, 15 minutes. 10 minutes already there. Maybe take 20 minutes even. 20 minutes.
Okay. So now see
good
here.
Job, okay?
Yeah. Okay. So now see here. We are talking about how it is impacted, right? How we come to the illusion. Now this 26 sloka talks about three modes of material which we understand how logically it impacts, right? That's what we are talking about. So material world is governed by three modes of goodness. It's a Lord's energy, right? Internal Shakti, internal potency, external, and we are tatastha, right? In the middle of that we talk about. So three modes are coming. It's a Maya, right? It's a coming. So but thinking here is the clear. While material phenomena may appear robustly real, all that we see in a material world looks absolute true. They are merely reflection of much deeper spiritual reality. And this is where we have to, if we understand this particular thing, it looks real. Again, the words are used. Jagat Satyam, Jagat Mithya, Brahma Satya, all
Brahman.
those things. Think all those you can go and connect as much as you want with that. Absolute, it is coming from the Lord. So example as here it's a mention at as you go and below, just like gold and gold particle from one gold, different rear rings are made, certain things are made. So apparently looks like as everything is coming from gold, so everything is the real. Yes, it is a real, but again, where the distinction we have to understand, and then we'll go how it is saying that as we understand the distinction is to be made between what is the origin. So is it the absolute truth? It is the spiritual as we understand, and the material are both same, or there is a difference? Yes, it's coming from the Lord, so it's absolute true. There's no problem. It is a false or it is a temporary. Those are the things which have been more nicely explained as we understand that, right? Here, philosophical insight. Reality is intricately layered. Very nice word. It is not a straightforward answer. You have to understand one layer, another layer, third layer, how the Lord has created this entire material world. Eventually, we'll go through the other slokas, and it drives to that every step of the world, the Lord was there, right from Brahma Pradhan to Mahatattva to everything. The Lord potency was there, so Lord was there. You can't take it out, and absolutely you cannot say this only the material world and three modes of material nature. You can't. So three modes of material nature also coming from the Lord. That is the equation we need to remember. Right? So philosophical insight, reality is intricately layered, and material realm is not ultimately distinct from the spiritual truth. It is coming from him. It's a temporary, but it's a real. But real in the sense, again, Bhagavad Gita talks about, reflection also, a lot of those things we have to connect here as we understand this thing. So non-difference between the material and spiritual, very important. There is the difference and there's the non-difference. Coming from the Lord, it is the no difference, but this is also temporary, and it is also a reflection of the material world created for some purpose, as we can see that here. If you see that, connect that link, then it becomes easy. So those who truly grasp the Supreme Self understand that material creation possesses its own reality through its own connection to the self, how the creation has taken place, right? And how much, just like a gold, despite existing various forms like earrings, all that, but everything is come that Lord. Again, we understand how Mahatattva with the time and other time and the three material modes and Sadguna something ka, Rajoguna something ka, Tamoguna, different, all these things. You look into that when you read these slides here. Okay, fundamentally go inside. The essence of all material forms spring from the divine, pointing to spiritual foundation inherent in everything that exists, everything that connects here, right? Here. This is very nice critique of Mayavadi philosophy, and everybody has taken a lot of Srila Prabhupada, including Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, challenge the Mayavadi doctrine which equate the Atman to Paramatma. Everybody is God, right? Paramatma, as Prabhu talks about. So post-realization, important, asserting that phenomena encompasses bondage and liberation. So they both are, if you look at that, bondage is also false and liberation is also false, because their belief is that by, again, if you go through the philosophy, it will take time. So how we come to how everything from Brahman, it percolates down to one person comes a bondage, and with the knowledge it can go back, and we can see that. So asserting that phenomena encompassing bondage and liberation are mere illusion. So there's no there. The absolute truth is that material world is coming from the Lord. Spiritual world, as you talk, it's also coming from the Lord. So both are His. Both are His. Only we understand wrongly. As a Mayavadi talk, Jagat Mithya Brahma Satya, they don't understand its absolute nature, right? So inside this perspective highlights how ignorance distorts our understanding of soul's relationship with the Supreme, right? Our individual soul, resulting in profound misunderstanding about identity and nature of reality. These 3-4 points are very important here also. Understanding the nature of reality. Role of mind, wherein you have to understand how the right, this distinction implies how supreme mind, asat. Here, I think we were talking about that, initiated creation. If you connect with that, everything was aprakat and then it become a prakat, you connect with the asat. Basically, if you change that meaning to a prakat and a prakat, then everything falls in a place. Everything supreme mind, right? The soul, Lord soul, right? He starts with the creation, begins with that. And then Brahma comes there, the material body is created, suggesting that material world is fundamentally a product of mental projection. So Lord has created that. So again, Upanishad talks about Asat was present. That means Aprakat was present from that Asat or Aprakat. This Prakat world has been created. So thinking, this is the point one we have to, I think further, if you, this second point highlights little further on that. Okay, so reality of the world as a product of real. Very nice words here. So from true, just because there is a man, the child will be a human, right? It will not be a dog or something. So reality of world as product of real. If the reality exists, that the source, the same thing is coming to the product, right? That's the feeling, that is the understanding. Individual recognize the world as a authentic because it is derived from the ultimate reality, right? Coming from the Lord is energy. So it cannot be wrong. Again, we understand it's a temporary there. This connection illustrated through the analogy of gold, transformed earring, different things. So source is a pure, the products will be coming, but is it always true? I think that is the, again, further questions will come there. Practical acknowledgement of reality versus illusion arise when we grasp the inherent relationship between the divine and the material world. So when we understand it is coming from the Lord, yes, it is a true, but for the purpose why it is a made, it looks like it's a temporary, or Maya with this talk about unreal. So this is how you define that. So transcendental knowledge and liberation. Okay, so knowledge liberates here. So here also we can talk inside attending a transcendental knowledge fosters an enriched appreciation for the interconnectedness of all being and divine source from which they emanate. So they are in not, creation is not in isolation. Creation is coming from the Lord. This material world is given us opportunity. If you go drill down further, given us opportunity to use our material senses and in the service of the Lord, and the senses, as we understand, whatever is this material can purify. The Lord's logic works there, right? So here, conclusion, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's comment elucidate, explain vital Vedantic principle regarding the essence of reality. So we have to see the reality connection here, the interplay between the material and spiritual realm, and the transformative potential of the knowledge. So understanding transforms, right? So it is a gradual transformation. That's why there was a multi-layer word was used, gradually how it is there. By comprehending the intricate relation between the mind and creation, one can awaken the profound truth that exists. Okay, truth, profound truth exists, and the omniscient nature of the Supreme. Very nice. Prabhuji, I think I'll stop here. I'll leave here 27 because already Prabhuji 45 minutes.
Okay, it's all right. You explain text 25 good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
The fundamental take-home points in verse 25, there are two things actually where these philosophies go wrong. Actually, they fail to understand the fundamental difference between Paramatman and Jivatman. Okay, and Prabhuji explained very nicely the difference between Atman and Paramatman, Atman and Jivatman. Atman is a pure spirit soul, all right? That's Sat Chit Ananda, just like the Supreme, but it's a minute quantity. Whereas the Jivatman is the embodied soul. That soul accepts material body because of material consciousness, So once they accepts the material body, that means that material body is made of what? All the three gunas, right?
Yeah.
So then it comes under the influence, the illusion and everything comes into play. Okay, so that's whereas Paramatman never comes under illusion of the modes, the Prakriti's gunas, because Prakriti is subservient to the Paramatmans. So that you understood, everybody? Clear difference between we.
Yes, Prabhu. Understood.
Yes, Prabhuji.
But the Supreme Being never ever comes under the influence of the Maya, because Maya is his servant. Okay, if that point is clear, that's wonderful. Now tell me the difference between the within the Atma itself and the Atma, pure Atma. Where do these people go wrong actually? Because they don't seem to differentiate. Pure Atma is Sat Chit Ananda. Okay, and Jivatman is the one which can come under the influence because it is Satchit Ananda, but because he has got the material body, he comes under the influence of the modes of material nature. Okay, so they interpret based on Jivatman's material body, but they don't seem to connect. The Atman has nothing to do with it. And I explained many times, when does the Atman feels that he is under the influence of the modes? When the soul, when we come into material consciousness, that was exactly the question King Rahugana asked Jadabharata, that you're right, Atma has nothing to do with that. Okay, but still we feel pain. Prabhuji was just repeating my words. So then Jadabharata explained that when we are in this body-mind complex, I repeat many times, body-mind complex is the chief reason, prime reason why we come into material existence. Okay, so Jadabharata explained that when we falsely identify ourselves, pure soul, with that this body, we must learn very clearly and we must realize that truth, that we are not this body, we are spirit soul. But many of us Theoretically we know, but practically we don't know. And that's why we experience the pain. We ourselves, actually, we are a pure spirit soul, but sometimes we forget that. And we think the body is going to pain, so we equate that body with ourselves. And then only we feel pain. Otherwise, we don't. Okay? So that's the fundamental difference, two aspects. And we are going to revisit all these things when we talk about text 133, lesson 133. Many of the elements we will come across.
So, Prabhu, one question.
So after this hearing this discussion, and I've been thinking about it, those 5 philosophies plus the 6th Vedanta philosophy. I think you ought to learn that. So what I'm going, first I shared with that article, 80 pages long article, but it might be difficult for you guys to understand. That's a Vaishnava version of that, okay? There's a Mayavadi version also is there. We don't want to talk about that. We're talking about Vaishnava version of that. So what I'm doing now, that 80-page article, I'm summarizing in my mind map based PowerPoint, okay? So it'll help you to understand. And if time permits, that's the problem. We have to find the time when, if time permits, I would be happy to give 2 lessons. I'm preparing a PowerPoint for 2 lessons, okay? Explaining all these 5 philosophies, 6 philosophies actually. But Vedanta philosophy, that's why we need to do this Vedanta Sutra. And that I want to do that. Again, we have to find the time. But I have a mind to do it. So that's very important. Without that Vedanta Sutra understanding, everything is remain incomplete. So we gotta find time. We gotta find time, and we will find time. Okay. Somehow, if we have a desire, Krishna is a time. Kalosmi. So if we are really determined, Krishna will find a time for us. Okay, we'll do that. So with that, any question thus far?
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी मतलब अगर हम सफर करते हैं बिकॉज माइंड इज ओवर पावर अवर इल्यूजन, माइंड ने सब ओवर पावर कर लिया क्योंकि हमें पता नहीं चल रहा है। दैट्स व्हाई वी आर सफरिंग प्रभु जी। अगर कुछ भी होता है तो हमें पेन तो होता ही है, मगर माइंड ने इतना, माइंड को होता है ज्यादा। दैट्स व्हाई वी आर फीलिंग।
Bhikshu Gita will make that point also clear. But simple mind control itself, this pranayama and all this thing that's been pointed out, right? These are all mechanical exercises. Just by that means you are not going to be able to control the mind. Mind is too powerful, okay? Nonetheless, mind control is important in many other respects, but the element of the supreme being, that must come in the bhakti form within us. That is the real solution. That's the real solution. That many of these philosophies are missing that. Okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
समझ रही ना रक्षा माता जी?
यस प्रभु जी। मतलब अगर माइंड में अगर भगवान रहेंगे हमारे मगज में, माइंड में कंटिन्यूस रहेंगे तो ये साथ हमें कंट्रोल कर पाएंगे शायद।
Actually, Ashtanga Yoga, originally when Patanjali suggested that was the main purpose actually. Come to the Samadhi level and be trance with Paramatma. Then you will be able to solve this problem. But many of the people who are practicing yoga, they misses that point. They derive the health benefit and they think that's it is. That's not the power of yoga. Power of yoga means to link with the Paramatma sitting in our heart. Our consciousness should be inwardly faced, not outwardly. And the whole
प्रभु जी, उसका एक बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम्पल है कि अगर हमने पानी की बोतल खरीदी है तो बोतल तो फ्री में आने ही वाली है, मगर देखना है पानी को, तो वो जो है वो बोतल को देखते, पानी को नहीं देखते हैं।
Exactly, you're right. Very good. Okay, with that point, if you permit, let's get this lesson 132 out. It's relatively easier lesson actually. Okay. Let me see if I have that PowerPoint 132. Yes. So let me share that. We will spend more time in lesson 133. Okay. I split that lesson into two parts, A and B. So we do two lessons actually in 133. Okay. That is next week. So you, all of you have to seriously think, do you want me to do this, explain this Shad Darshana, six
Yes,
philosophies?
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
That's one thing. Uh, uh, and Vedanta Sutra. So if you want to know about it, want to understand that, then we'll have to find time. Okay. Either we take few lessons before we go to Canto 11. Let's take a break in that and we can do, because these are very important lessons, important elements of learning.
Yes,
Okay?
Prabhu, we can do that. We can think in
Yeah,
that.
but Prabhuji,
Yeah.
are you talking about Vedant Sutra means Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentary? You know, that's 700 pages that
No,
PDF you say. No, no.
I want to give a basic understanding
Okay.
what Vedanta Sutra. Okay.
Hmm.
So I'll figure it out in a minimum number of lessons. How can I give you a basic understanding? We will not go into too details. It's a whole new course will be there. I don't have much time at this point, but I want to give a basic understanding Vedanta Sutra. Then you'll be able to connect what you have been learning here. Okay. And the same way the Shad Darshana, I can clearly see that many of you really still don't seem to understand, because here we were talking about what are the fallacies and how the Shrutis are refuting that. But unless you understand what those six philosophies itself, it becomes difficult that I could see very clearly, because that's a very difficult philosophy. So you first need to understand the six philosophies. And that's why what I'm doing, that 80-page article that I shared with you, you read that. But in order for that to understand better, I'm preparing my PowerPoints. Lesson 1 is already done. Lesson 2 is remaining now. In about a couple of days, I'll finish that and I'll share with you and see if you can understand that, my PowerPoints. If not, we'll find time to conduct one weekend over there, okay? To conduct a class.
Yeah,
Okay.
Prabhuji, I have a small question here.
Yeah.
Because we are talking about six Shastra. It's very nice because that is a fundamental. In our Hari part, Marathi, Dhaneshwar Mauli, he talks about Chavu Vedas, Sahi Shastra, Atra Purani, Harishi Gati. He talks about all four Vedas, six Shastras, 18 Puranas also talks about it. So I still don't understand. Then if these six Shastras are wrong, out of six, five are basically absolutely wrong. But there must be some purpose. How it also takes it towards the Lord, right? Some more information it gives. Is it like that?
We'll cover that aspect of it. We'll cover
Okay.
that aspect. They are very
Okay.
important philosophies. Not everything is wrong, okay? Not everything is
Okay.
wrong.
Okay.
But few parts that here it is picked by Shrutis, that has a validity, okay?
Yes. Okay, Prabhuji.
By and
Understand.
large, they are very good philosophies. Vedantic
Okay.
philosophies there is. But you understand properly, okay?
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, do you see my screen?
Yeah, we can
Yes,
say.
Prabhu, it came up, Prabhu, but you can put it in that slide mode.
Okay. Okay, this slide is quite familiar, right? I repeated many times, but I'm updating every time, okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
So now today we'll talk about lesson 132, the sense of devotion and the nature of the soul. So we might revisit some of the things that Prasad Prabhuji, not Prasad Prabhuji, Radha Vinod Prabhuji was discussing about it, okay? Everything you cannot forget. They're all connected, interconnected. All this 7 parts. This is the one of, that's why I'm telling you why I'm doing this thing. This plays a very fundamental role in your basic understanding. So this covers lessons 30 through 35, okay? And just like verse 25 was very crucially important, next week lesson 133 and 133 we'll do in 2 parts, A and B, okay? A is verse 36 to 41, B is verse 42 to 50, which is essentially it's a conclusion, okay? But verse 36, just like 25, is crucially important for us to understand, okay? Okay, what we are doing this in lesson 132, that we will do in 6 parts. These verses are divided in like that, 1 through 6. So in first part, lesson 30, is the nature of the supreme in the individual atmans. Now we are not talking about jivatmans, okay? Because that's the reason I told you. Remember I told you that what we are discussing today, Radha Vinod Prabhu is discussing, that has a bearing here in subsequent lessons. And lesson here, if you understand that, then you'll be able to understand this. The fundamental difference between the Paramatman and the Atman, not even the embodied soul we are talking about, okay? Pure Atman. There also we need to understand what's the similarity and difference. Similarity, both are Satchit Ananda, but we are minute. Atman is minute. Then lesson 30, verse 31, the nature of the Jivatman. So now we are coming, see that how crucially why it's important, all what Radha Vinod Prabhuji and you guys were discussing, this is going to continue. If your base is weak, if you did not understand the base, we cannot build a whole scripture, a whole building, The base has to be very strong. That's the reason why I keep stressing that, emphasizing that you need to understand where those 5 philosophers went wrong. They failed to understand the fundamental difference between Paramatman and Jivatman on one hand. Second hand, they even forget, they did not even understand properly the difference between Atman and Jivatman. So that point is being revisited here, okay? And I could see that a lot of you are still not very clear about that. So we'll discuss more and more again and again. Then eventually it'll dawn into your consciousness. And yes, speaking of consciousness, the philosophers went wrong. They said that if the consciousness is gone, we get liberation. Consciousness is gone when we die, when we give up this body, we lose consciousness. Just because dying, we are not going to become liberated. Because if karmas are not resolved, we still have to come back and accept another physical body. That is fundamentally wrong in that. Consciousness is to do with the soul, not with this body, but the soul has to have a spiritual consciousness, not material consciousness. Everybody's clear on that, what I'm talking about? Haribol?
Yes, Prabhu. It is. Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, verse 32.
Yes,
Liberation.
Prabhuji.
Yeah, so liberation through devotion. And devotion, how, in what aspect devotion help us? When we do devotion bhakti process, by Lord's grace, we transform our spiritual material consciousness into spiritual consciousness. Then we see the reality. We connect ourselves with the supreme reality. Okay? And that's how we get liberation. We resolve our karmas. All material desires are purged into spiritual desires. Then we don't have to accept another body, no subtle body, no gross body. That is called the true definition of liberation. Mean what? Not just dropping material body, outer body, but even the subtle body, mana buddhi ahankar, that also must be dropped. Then there is no more need for super soul. We directly serve the Lord in the spiritual world. Text 33. How did all this thing become possible? Not by our own efforts. We need a guru to explain to us, a bona fide self-realized soul, spiritual master. So that Guru Bhakti is the crucial truth in all these things. Everybody's with me? I'm giving you an overview of it.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Text 34. The supremacy of bhakti over material attachments. Bhakti and material attachment cannot go together. It's just like mixing water and oil. It cannot go together. So bhakti helps us. In bhakti itself gives jnana and vairagya. His bhakti is the mother, jnana and vairagya are her sons. Automatically, whatever knowledge we require, jnana, we get it. That is Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana, not the philosophical knowledge like that, And when we change your consciousness, material consciousness into spiritual consciousness, then automatically vairagya will come into play. Okay, it is easier said than done, but we strengthen our bhakti process, then Lord's grace will come. Okay, Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam, and that breaks the tight knot between matter and spirit. This by simply having Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam. The last but not least, verse 35, the path of the devotee. What is the path of devotee? First of all, the most important element, give up asata sangha and more spend time with sat sangha, devotee association. Okay, so abandoning material attachment for spiritual realization. So entire lesson 132, I just described you in just few minutes. Okay. In a nutshell, I explained to you. Now we'll dive down a little bit. Okay. One by one. Lesson 30, the nature of the supreme and the individual jivatman. So see that this fundamental elemental question is revisiting us. So that concept must be crystal clear in your mental consciousness, mind. Otherwise, you cannot make progress. So here some of the elements here, the themes, control and dependency. The Supreme Lord, the immutable source of all wills, immutable source of all. Okay, wields profound and inspiring control over countless jivatmas. See, that is the potency of the Supreme Lord. Okay, chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita. What is a kshatra and a kshatragna? Raksha Mataji, can you explain in just two minutes?
Yes, Prabhuji. Kshetra means the body and Kshetragna is the Atma.
Okay. And what is the difference between Paramatma and Atman in that respect?
Yes, Paramatma is a controller and Atma is the सिर्फ शरीर का कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं बस.
No, little bit more knowledge. Atma knows his own body, but that's also imperfectly, right? Whereas
Yes.
Paramatma knows all billions of bodies perfectly well. That is the fundamental explanation of Kshetra and Kshetragna. Okay, so here the Lord, Supreme Lord, is the Supreme. He wields profound and awe-inspiring control of all countless jivatmans. Because he's situated in everyone's heart, right? So he knows every one of us. We are also Kshatragna. We know our own body, but that also imperfect. So these beings are but transient reflection of his divine nature. So we are so minute. We have little potency to understand who we are like that, okay? In a way, a little bit. And their ever-changing form and existence Why we are over changing? Because we have this material body. Soul is not changing. Soul is unchanging, eternal. Body is constantly changing. Every second, every minute, cells are changing. So that is the fundamental difference. And there are ever-changing forms in existence. Fruits of his creation serves to reinforce his absolute authority over all that exists. So that is the fundamental difference between we, even as Atmans, okay, and the Paramatmans. Any question thus far? Is it crystal clear now? You must have a very crystal clear conception between Atman and Paramatman before you even go Jivatmans.
Atman is individual soul only, and Paramatman is soul of everyone.
Yeah. So Atman,
omnipresent.
yes. Yeah. So we are Satchitananda, but we have a limited potential because we are so atomic size. So we become prone to
Prabhuji,
this.
we are qualitatively one, but quantitatively not.
Exactly.
Lord is
Exactly.
quantitatively. We are very small.
So the
Prabhuji,
Sanskrit word is
previously,
called Vibhu,
yeah.
and Anu, you know.
Yeah, previously, Prabhuji slokas, I think we missed that, we didn't go. Nityo Nityanam, Chetana Chetanam, that
Yes.
talks about very
Prabhupada
clearly.
quotes that words very often, you know.
I think it was there in 27 or 28. We did not complete. So, but the sloka talks about one, everybody is Nityo, right? Both we are Nityo, he is Nityo, but one Nitya controls everything, right? That's what it talks about.
Yeah, I think verse 29 also talks about that, you know. Okay, the illusion of knowledge. See, illusion in knowledge is very dangerous than ignorance itself. Ignorance can be cured, but if you have illusion of knowledge, you think that you know, they are worst kind. Knowledge of the Supreme Lord gained through material means is fundamentally flawed. True understanding emerges only when we realize the limitations inherent in sensory perception. So whatever we learn through sensory perception by our own efforts, it has always has some limitations. That's why we take shelter of Guru who explains the Shastra, and Shastra, through Shastra, Vedic injunction, Vedic understanding, then we get to understand the Supreme Being. Okay, so that is what it says here. Knowledge of the Supreme Lord gained through material means is fundamentally flawed. True understanding emerges only when we realize the limitations inherent in sensory perception and knowledge. Our own eyes, ears, they are not perfect. So we need a self-realized soul to help us understand this thing. Because Shastra is deliberately, we are going to revisit that again in lesson 133. Okay. Shastra, when we discuss Sat Karyavada and Asat Karyavada, we'll talk about it in lesson 133. That this is again issue will be revisited. Only we can understand through Guru, who will explain to us, because Shastra is deliberately sometimes ambiguous. It goes in both sides. Satkaryavada, Asatkaryavada, it supports both ways. And how can that be true? Because both are diametrically opposite. And how could, so some Shrutis in favor that, some Shrutis not. So, and that is context driven. Everything in the Shastra is context driven. Shastra's Shrutis are not wrong, but you have to understand they are context driven. Third point, philosophical perspective on the Jivatmans. Again, see, this is going to be revisiting all the time, again and again. That's why I'm trying to help you to solidify your foundation. Various philosophical schools are diverse in insights into the essence of Jivatmans. So see, the Jivatman, the fundamental disagreement is between the Mayavadi philosophers and the Vaishnava philosophers is on that aspect. Because Mayavadis don't even accept Paramatma, the concept of Paramatma, the doctrine of Paramatma. They think this soul itself, there's only one soul, they say. Okay? There is no Paramatma, there's only Atman. And Atman, Jiva, becomes Atman, Jivatman, when it comes under the influence of the three modes of material nature, Prakriti. Okay? And then it becomes Jivatman. But same Jivatman, when receives proper knowledge through Vedanta Sutras, Vedanta, then it becomes pure soul. That means they equate that is a Paramatman. They don't accept the concept Paramatman, but that is what meant that when we ourselves become Lord Krishna. That's essentially what they are saying. Prabhupada repeats so many times this thing, That's the fundamental flow. Fourth point, unity versus plurality of the Jivatmans. Now, question comes easily here. Are all Atmans are similar? What do you think? Haribol, anybody? Are all Atmans similar?
No, I mean, the
Rose,
nature is
Atma
same,
is
but
similar, but Jivatma is different because of their mind, body, and senses and their karmas.
No,
in my
Atmans are the
understanding,
difference because
Atma also difference,
each
Prabhu,
Atmans,
because
remember that identical twins. Okay. How do the mother recognize the identical twins? In facially, they look exactly same, 100% identical genes. But their very nature is different, right? And very day they are born, mother immediately make out. Because these Atmans are different nature-wise. Why? Because they have a different karmic bondage. They bring karmas from previous life.
yes,
And that builds the particular personality, nature. And that is apparent right from the birth. And they differentiate as they age. Scientifically also is proven. They are identical. But as they age, as they experience the environment, the living up in different environments, different exposure, life experiences, then they diverge. The very nature is different. When a newborn is looks about, when they age about 40 or 30 years, 40 years old, their diametrically opposite personality will be there. So that's what I'm talking about. So that is what the plurality of the Jivatman is there. Here again, the word Jivatman, body. Now they have got a body. Atman is the same, but Atman is bringing different kind of karmic bondage. They call into different karmas to help resolve. Krishna gives exactly the tailor-made body to fulfill their unfulfilled desires from previous lives. And that builds another changes in this new life. So that the vicious cycle continues. Body-mind complex. So far, are you with me now?
yes,
Anybody?
Prabhu, yes, Prabhu, yes, Prabhu, we all with you.
I'm willing to stop. I will not go further. If these fundamental aspects are not clear in your mind, crystal clear, then there's no point going further.
Yes, Prabhu, we are clear.
Clear, Bhaiji, clear up to.
Thank you. Okay, now this is the ending of verse 30, the nature of the supreme and the individual Jivatma. So we are talking about difference between Paramatman and Jivatmans. What are the differences? There are, so understanding Brahman. Now the Brahman comes into play, okay? Brahman, the ultimate source of the Jivatmans. There is again, I'll take it with a little grain of salt, okay? We are talking about Bhagavan first. But this is I'm pretty sure this is an influence of the impersonalist. Nonetheless, Brahman, the ultimate source of the Jivatman, is both intimately connected to and distinct from them. How we are connected? Both are Satchidananda, but quantitatively very, very different. Attaining comprehensive knowledge of Brahman remains a lofty spirit. That's what the Bhagavad said. If we studied Brahman through Vedanta Sutra, then we become Brahman. But we'll never become Brahman. we are called Brahman. And to distinguish the super Brahman, that's called Supreme Brahman, Para Brahman. That makes to distinguish that point. But that per Brahman concept is not acceptable to the Mayavadis. Okay, the Vedic insights.
Anything comes with para, they don't accept. That's all. Para
sorry,
Brahma, Paramatma.
Yeah, they don't accept the very concept of Paramatma.
Yeah.
Vedic insight. The Shrutis illuminate the ineffable nature of the Supreme. They really glorify, suggesting that silence may express the divine more eloquently than words. This recognition of the limitations of human understanding humbles us, okay, and that fosters reverence for the depth of divine knowledge. You understand this point now? Fosters reverence. What do you call reverence? How do you understand word reverence? We revere somebody. What does it say that exactly?
Compared to you, that is the greatness. That is the great, much higher, right?
We like worship, right? So who
Yes.
we reverse? Reverence for who we have, for our guru who gives the right knowledge, explains us, understand of the supreme. So we kind of worship our guru. The guru help us to understand the supreme. So that's why the reverence word comes from that very reverential way we accept that personality. So this humility comes into play. We think we know everybody, we know everything. We don't. By our own efforts, independent efforts, we don't. We will never do that. Because as soon as we accept material body, we come into ignorance. Okay, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's citation of two verses from Kena Upanishad. Now, these verses I am particularly mentioning here, so these are important for us to understand. If you believe, so this is a translation. If you believe you have a thorough understanding of Brahman, your perception is but a fraction. We understand very little part of it, insignificant part of it. Should you think you can pinpoint Brahman's form and among the demigods, then truly your knowledge is limited. So that is verse 2.1. Whoever denies having a definitive opinion about the supreme truth, see the sentence again. Whoever denies having definitive opinion about the supreme truth is in fact correct in their stance. Conversely, those who claim to understand the supreme do not truly know him. He remains unknown to those who assert their knowledge and can only be appreciated by those who humbly acknowledge their ignorance. See, we are all ignorant beings, and we must accept that in a humble mood. Then the Lord will enlighten us from within us if we make effort and we show genuine preparedness to learn. See, हम टीचर के पास जाते हैं, so we don't challenge teacher. By challenging a teacher, we don't learn anything. The teacher knows everything right perspective. We don't. And if you argue unnecessarily just to win the argument, you're not going to learn the knowledge. So that humility first comes to play. The same way learning the supreme is still bigger challenge. So when we are humble mood and learning from the right source, in surrendering mood, sharanagati, then Krishna will enlighten us from within. Okay, there's one aspect. He will send another self-realized soul in our life as Guru. So he does in two ways, and third is Shastra. Three ways he let us have the right knowledge. The Shruti further states that though he surpasses all description, the Vedas endeavor to elucidate him. So, again, where from this whole Shruti personified saying this thing, it started from the very first question Parikshit Maharaj asked, right? How do we understand Shrutis? And Shrutis cannot properly explain Brahman Because Shrutis we hear a material sense, Shruti itself is supreme, of course, no doubt about it, because they know the supreme. But we, through our eyes and ears, we study and hear with imperfect senses. That's the problem, So that is what is mentioned here. The Shrutis further state that though he surpasses all description, he is beyond description. And again, lesson 133 will come into that incomprehensibility of the supreme. Comprehend means understand. Incomprehensible opposite of it. We will never ever understand supreme unless we come on the bhakti platform in a humble mood. Then Krishna himself, how to know the unknowable? Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is unknowable. So how to know who is unknowable? Only if unknowable reveals himself, then we know the unknowable. By our own effort, it's not possible. So that is what this Kena Upanishad is basically saying that. Conclusion, these thematic points distill Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti's profound philosophical insights regarding the intricate relationship between the Supreme and you. So again, Paramatman and Jivatman, Paramatman, Atman, Atman, Jivatman. Three things keep coming, keep repeating all the time. So you must have very crystal clear knowledge about the difference and the similarities. Understand the complexities of knowledge, control, and existence. Again, I'll stop here, see if there are any questions. Please speak up. Somebody speak up.
Yes, Prabhu. Actually, it is good, Prabhu. It is clear for me.
Clear. Anybody else? Prasad Prabhu?
So you need to have the humble mindset, Prabhu. Unless you have the one has a humble mindset, we cannot understand.
Yeah. देखो गुरु के पास बैठते हैं, गुरु के सामने नहीं बैठते, गुरु के नीचे बैठते हैं हमेशा, right? You know, the water flows from higher level to lower level, right?
Yes,
you want to flow that knowledge from him to you, so you must have that humble mood sitting below his asana.
Yes, yes, Prabhu.
Then गुरु का knowledge पास होता है. गुरु के साथ ही सामने सामने बैठने से गुरु पास नहीं होगा knowledge.
प्रभु जी, दूसरे शब्दों में हम कह सकते हैं कि हमारा जो घड़ा है वो खाली होना चाहिए.
हाँ.
तो हम कुछ ज्ञान ले सकेंगे. अगर फुल अप होगा तो हमें प्राइड हो जाएगा, अरे हम वी नो एवरीथिंग, नो, तो हमें कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आएगा.
या उससे प्रभुपाद brings that point. वो क्या होता है कि जो पहले कोई जो लिखा रहता है उसको बस मिटाना पड़ता है. लेकिन ignorance इतना बड़ा है, wrong conception we have in our mind. First we have to remove all misconception. Slate को complete erase कर देना पड़ेगा. Start from fresh. Then you will accept and understand that. But misconception होगा line दिमाग में, तो सच बात इतना आसानी से आएगी नहीं. You will keep arguing about it because you have that misconception of something.
Yeah, Prabhuji, there's a very nice example.
Okay, Prabhuji.
No, go ahead.
There's a nice example. One music teacher, two people, student go, one with without knowledge and one with a some knowledge, right? So he charges less fee for the who is a totally blank, no knowledge, but one has a little more some knowledge. He charges more, and he explains that because as you said that, right?
इसलिए कहते हैं कि complete ignorance is better.
Yeah.
Than wrong knowledge we have, Okay, now.
प्रभु जी, एक नास्तिक आस्तिक बन सकता है अच्छे से.
और आस्तिक जो है उसका समझना चाहिए. Okay, now we go to the text 30. Control and dependency. The Supreme Lord, the immutable source of all, wields profound and awe-inspiring control over countless jivatmas that we just discussed already. Illusion of knowledge. ये देखो अभी जब हम बात कर रहे थे, अभी जब हम डिस्कस कर रहे थे कि wrong knowledge, misconception or something, and we are in the illusion that we know we have the right knowledge. If we are in that kind of illusion, that's worse than not having knowledge. Knowledge of the Supreme Lord gained through material means is fundamentally flawed. true understanding emerges only when we realize the limitation inherent in sensory perception and knowledge that the nature of the Supreme transcends human comprehension. So first of all, humility we have that we have this tiny brain. Through this tiny brain, we are trying to understand the Supreme brain. So that humility must come into play, and that in a humble mood, in the right source, if you make an attempt to learn, then by Lord's grace, that knowledge will come to you. That's the point. Otherwise, you'll get the illusion of knowledge. You think you know everything, but you don't. Philosophical perspectives on the Jivatman. Again, see that coming the Jivatmans. Various philosophical schools offer diverse insights into the essence of Jivatmans. The Advaita Mayavadi's perspective with its paradoxical conclusions regarding liberation acts as a fascinating lens through which to explore the intricate complexity of the philosophical thought. So that is what the point is here, that the Advaitas, because they think Jivatman themselves become Paramatmans, there's the fundamental flow in them they have, because they don't accept the reality, the existence of Paramatmans. We ourselves can become Paramatmans according to their philosophy by simply learning the Vedanta Sutras. But their learning of Vedanta Sutra itself is flawed. That will, when we come to that, Vaishnava version of Vedanta Sutra, you'll understand that. And that was the whole thing given in this Chaitanya Charitamrita. Remember that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Banaras, Varanasi, and he met those Mayavadi philosophers, and they were talking about Vedanta Sutras. What did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said? Diksha Mataji, do you know? Remember? Prasad Prabhu, you read that Chaitanya Charitamrita?
Yes, Prabhuji, I studied, but just now I did not recollect.
Yes, Prabhu. Okay, I have not studied, but I heard some parts, Prabhu.
Yeah. What did he say?
He clearly said the same philosophy, whatever we are discussing today, Prabhu, is like you can never become Paramatma. Okay. So Atma is always part and parcel of Sri Krishna. Okay. And he has explained uh, the philosophy of
Achintya Bheda
Achintya Bheda Bheda.
Achintya Bheda.
You got the point. You got the point. The main thing, that's what, so that was there was a fundamental flow. And he brings that point very clearly. And that's why then he explains Vedanta Sutra itself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
In Chaitanya Charitamrita, if you go into that, you will see that. Unity versus plurality of the Jivatmans. That's again, not all Atmans are same. The point we just discussed a few minutes earlier. Plurality
because the relation is different. Relation is different with Krishna. Yeah.
Is the fundamental truth of existence. Had all souls been identical in eternal, they would essentially become equivalent to the Supreme Lord. And that's what the Mayavadis think that, which contradicts their undeniable dependence on him. Okay. Am I going too fast?
Prabhuji, I think you did this slide. You did 4th number slide also. Ken Upanishad.
So that means, this is a repetition of that? Yeah, probably.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, repetition is there. Yeah, these two words I discussed earlier. Okay, text 31. The nature of the Atman and its relationship with the Supreme. Now, first we learn the difference in Atman itself, right? Now we are going to learn from difference between Atmans and Paramatmans. Okay, Jivatman and Paramatman, there's difference that we already discussed now. Okay. So this point is also again revisit what Prasad Prabhu and you guys were discussing last week's class, So here again, so see that we are going to keep revisiting that. So the nature of the Atman and its relationship with the Paramatmans, eternal nature of the Atmans. So in that way, qualitatively, we are similar. Atma is also eternal. Okay, the Atman is fundamentally eternal, but the body is not eternal. Don't forget that. Okay, the Atman is fundamentally eternal and uncreated. There was never, Prabhupada said, from time immemorial, it was not that one time, sometime in the past, Atma was created. Atma was never created. And same is material nature was never created. Prakriti is all the time is there. Because Prakriti is the energy, external energy of the Supreme is always there. The Atman is fundamentally eternal and uncreated. Do you agree with that? Everybody?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
This means that it's a
Yes.
sense. Here there should be a separate. Okay, these two, there are two words. Does not originate or perish. Something which does not originate, there is no question of perishing, right? When it does not have beginning, there is no end to it. Rather, it exists beyond the cycles of birth and death. So birth and death is not for Atman. It is for the physical body. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur emphasizes that we perceive as the birth of Atman. See, the birth is put in a quote unquote. Okay. So there is no birth for Atman. Similarly, there is no death for Atman. Death is what? One that is born, it's going to die. But one who is never born, Atma is never born. So it's actually the manifestation of temporary covering. So that physical body, outer shell, and subtle body, and the gross body, they are called, Sanskrit is called upadhi. You know what is upadhi's meaning, real meaning, Sanskrit word's meaning? Upadhi means difficult obstacles, ये सब आती है ना, upadhi, difficulties comes in our life. That's what's called upadhis, right? So this subtle body and the gross body, they are like real sense, they are upadhis. But here it is explained in another sense. Upadhis mean outer designations. Okay. Soul has outer designation of these coverings that we have, which are subject to change and dissolution. Subject to change and dissolution is what? Aging and then finally death. Not the Atman, it is not that. These things are not applicable to pure Atman. Distinction between Atman and Upadhis. Now we are talking about pure Atma and his outer shells, subtle body, gross body. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti clearly delineates. What is man? Delineate means what? Explain, describes the difference between the Atman and its designative coverings, the Upadhis, the outer shells. The Atman is not formed from material nature, Prakriti, or the Supreme Purusha, Paramatman. Instead, it is the Upadhis that are created and later dissolved. The physical body, two forms, Sthula Sharira and a Sukshma Sharira. Sthula Sharira means the gross body made of this Pancha Mahabhutas. And the subtle body means what? Panch, Mano, Buddhi, Ahankar. That are the one who are given to us. So these are upadhis that are created and later dissolved. So now you understand the concept. Obviously, they are created, right? Exactly, tailor-made bodies are being given to us that will give you at least a chance to fulfill your unfulfilled desires from previous lives. Okay. So that are the one created and then finally destroyed. So this perspective reinforces the idea that the true identity of the Atman is Brahman in a limited sense, okay, as distinguished from Parabrahman. So we are also Brahman, but in a limited sense. The ultimate reality, which is unchanging, eternal, whereas the upadhis are impermanent and contingent upon material conditions. Everybody's clear on that now?
So, Prabhuji, one question, Prabhu. So,
Yes,
when
please.
somebody says that we are at a limited form of Brahman or we are souls, okay, both are synonyms. Can we say
Yes,
in that way?
that's synonym. Yeah, that's true, synonym. But
Yeah.
but there's a difference. There's the Anu and Vibhu, you know.
Yeah,
We are
yeah.
part of the partial.
That Vibhu, Anu and Vibhu, that is between Atma and Paramatma. I'm talking about Atma and Brahman.
Yeah.
Brahman, because we are all Brahman, okay, at one level.
Sat Chit Ananda, we are there.
Yeah.
But we are minute portion of the Parabrahman.
Parabrahman. Okay, yeah. So my point is Brahman and Atma both are same, correct?
Yeah, but one is called Paramatman, where we are called Atman, right? Para means beyond.
Correct, Prabhu. I am not saying anything word with para. I am just saying Brahman. Brahman at a very individual level, okay? At a very small level, Brahman, okay? Because we are Brahman, okay?
Yeah.
And Brahman and Atma both are same. Synonyms.
Exactly. Both are same. Yes.
Both are same. Yes.
So we are not arguing about that.
Yeah. Okay.
But between Parabrahman and Brahman, there's a difference. That's what I'm asking you to understand.
Yes. That difference clearly there. Yeah.
Okay. And you understand, everybody is clear about upadhis?
Yes, Prabhuji, physical body. This is covering.
Why the upadhis are impermanent and contingent upon material conditions?
Because body is perishable.
Yeah, they are created. So what that once created, it must end in time, right?
आरंभ है उसका अंत है.
Yeah, souls are never created. So liberation.
Yes, Upadhi is created. Body is never created. Yeah. That's why Upadhi is created.
Yeah.
Soul is never created.
Yes, exactly. Liberation and the designative coverings. Now, you see, sometime back we saw that Shrutis were explaining where the fallacies of those they misunderstood what is liberation. They understood liberation means loss of consciousness, right? Remember that point? Again, we are revisiting. Consciousness is the soul. When loss of philosophy, like a death, right? But that's not the meaning of liberation. Unless your karmas are resolved, you cannot get liberation. Even if you lose consciousness, if you die, because you're gonna have to come back to resolve the karmas. You still have the lingering material desires. So liberation is not that loss of consciousness. So here, liberation and designative coverings, the upadhis. Liberation, that mukti, is described as the process. Now listen very carefully. This is the definition. What is liberation? Mukti is described as the process. It is the process. Okay? And it goes through various stages. In the process in which the jivatman's covering and ignorance are completely dissolved gradually. Keyword is gradually. In different lifetimes. It may take several lifetimes. So this process is metaphorically, what is called metaphorically? Analogous. Upama di jati hai. To understand, we have been given examples that we are quite familiar with it so that we can understand more easily. Metaphorically illustrated by the merging of rivers in the ocean. What does it say that analogy? Where individual identities of the rivers are lost in the vastness of the sea. So, ये बात समझ में आई है? रिवर एंड ओशन एनालॉजी, जब रिवर आती है, जोश बड़े वेग से आती है ना, समुद्र से मिलने से, जब समुद्र में मिल जाती है तो उसका अपना एग्जिस्टेंस खो देती है.
Yes,
river has a lot of water, right? But compared to ocean, it is nothing. So when river, the great body of water, mixes in the ocean, it loses its very existence because of minute nature of the rivers compared to ocean. So that analogy is allowing us to understand this particular aspect of Jivatman, but vis-a-vis Paramatman. So liberation is described as the process in which the Jivatman's covering and ignorance are completely dissolved. That is called liberation. Two aspects are required, right? For liberation. First, we need to drop not only this physical body, outer body, Pancha Mahabhuta, but we need to drop Mano Buddhi Ahankara also. Why? Because our material desires are stored in the mind, and that will force us to take another body, tailor-made body. So we must drop that subtle body also. Panchamahabhata is very easy to understand, right? It's become too aged. The soul cannot be supported by this aged body. So we must die. We must get a new body. But even the Manobuddhi Ahankar, that also must be dropped. So that is the cause, body-mind complex, that will force us to take another body. Because of the unfulfilled desires that force us. So liberation means we need to drop both. And how do we do both? The key aspect is that we need to change our material desires into spiritual desires. Then liberation is possible. And there is a process by which bhakti process is the topmost process. Jnana alone will not work. Vairagya alone is not going to work. The process is metaphorically illustrated. So that's why it means by it's rivers and ocean analogy to explain to this. Illustrated by the merging of the rivers into ocean, where individual identities of the rivers are lost in the vastness of the sea. In this sense, liberation does not annihilate the jiva. See, that's again distinction is made. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti is trying to help us to understand that liberation does not annihilate the jiva. What it means, dropping the upadhis, dropping of the subtle body and gross body.
Totally
Jiva,
free from deaths and births and death. Totally free
rather
from.
frees it from the constraints of material designations. So we become free from upadhi, free from material desires. Then we don't need to accept another subtle body or a gross body. That is called true liberation, allowing us to realize its true nature. True nature means what? Again, coming back to Satchit Ananda, and we become pure Brahman. That Brahman realization must take place. Everybody is clear now?
Yes, Prabhuji, there is a one shloka, Prabhuji. Mukti hitva anyatha rupena swarupena vyavastitah. Our real swarupa is a real mukti.
Exactly. Thank you.
No,
Thank
also,
you.
yeah, Bhagavad Gita also, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, na sochti na kankshi, no desire there, Prabhuji, right?
That's also very good words. Yeah, fits right here.
Prabhuji, but that verse is saying that we are doing the para bhakti. अब हम भक्ति अगर जब हम 3 मोड से चले जाएंगे ऊपर, then our bhakti will start.
Yeah,
तब हम आनंदित ही रहेंगे.
Bhakti is the goal as well as the means to get goals, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Bhakti is both. Bhakti is ultimate our goal. Bhakti is also by the means, provides the means by which to get the ultimate end. The types of dissolution concerning the Atmans. Now here we are talking about this complete dissolution, authentical pralaya actually. Laya means pralaya, laya, they are equivalent words. This occurs at the time of liberation. When Atman's gross and subtle bodies and the ignorance of that binds them are entirely dissolved. That's the final dissolution. Skills athentika laya. Final one. Everything is annihilated, So, but then there's a partial dissolution. at the end of particular yoga cycle, sandhyas are there and so on like that. This can happen during even the consciousness. There are three levels of consciousness, right? Jagrata avastha, swapna avastha, and the sushupti, deep sleep. Swapna means during dream sleep. Dream sleep, we have a particular consciousness that it's a limited way. When we go to deep sleep, it loses connection with the environment. All the indriyas are taken disconnected with this environment. So there is a different aspect of this partial dissolution is given, different aspect, different way. We, as if we are in dissolution when we go to deep sleep and so on like that. So consciousness is explained that in the three levels of consciousness. So this can happen during deep dreamless sleep, sushupti, or during cosmic annihilation, pralaya, where the Atman is temporarily shed to its gross and subtle bodies, temporarily shed, drops, shed means drop, okay? And we go back to the, until our karmas resolve, we go back in the body of Mahavishnu, and we are given another chance. The next level of creation, we are putting back into Prakriti's womb with the time importance in Paramatma. We are given another chance to purify. However, in these states, ignorance remains. As long as ignorance remains, we need to keep coming back, getting new bodies, preventing the Atman from achieving full liberation. So remember, when we die and our karmas are not yet resolved, we die, but we don't become liberated in the sense, in true sense, because we need to still come back. Full liberation is when we resolve our karmas. Philosophical analogies. The combination of material nature, Prakriti, and the Supreme Purusha is likened to bubbles forming in the water. It's a very nice analogy. Combination of material nature, Prakriti, and the Supreme Purusha is like to bubbles forming water, illustrating that how the Atman's existence is contingent upon its interaction, upon this interaction. Interaction with what? Paramatma, Atma and Paramatma's interaction. Furthermore, the analogy of rivers merging into the ocean effectively captures the concept of the Atman's return to the Supreme. So that is what the true liberation is there. Actually, Atma is coming not in the sense merging with Paramatma, okay, Mayavadi, but serving the Paramatman's devotional service continues even in the liberated stage. That's the true liberation stage. Just as rivers lose, so their names and forms upon merging, so too do the Atmas lose their temporary identities when they return to their source. So when we merge, it's like Prabhupada likes to characterize as a spiritual suicide. But the Vaishnava aspect of liberation, when we go, our individual identity is never lost there, even after liberation. We serve the Lord there. So you need to understand this point a little bit kind of clearly. This could be misleading, the way it is worded now. Scriptural validation. The VCT supports these philosophical insights by referencing key verses from sacred texts such as the Svetasvatara Upanishad. So everything, whatever Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he backs it up with scriptural references, and I'm quoting few of them, not quoting everything. Okay, any question thus far? Any points misunderstood or not understood properly? I'm willing to repeat.
So
प्रभु ये
Prabhuji,
दूसरा भी एक एनोलॉजी दे सकते हैं कि एक झाड़ पे एक पैरेट बैठा है, मतलब इट डज नॉट मीन के वो उसमें मर्ज हो गया है. पैरेट इज पैरेट, वो इंडिविजुअल आइडेंटिटी तो है ही.
हाँ, बहुत अच्छा एग्जांपल दिया. पैरेट का कलर इज जस्ट लाइक
ग्रीन है.
तो वो
Yes,
मर्जर दिखाई नहीं देता है कि अलग दिखाई देता है, मगर फिर भी they are different.
yes, Prabhuji.
Very good analogy. Thank you.
No,
So
not
conclusion.
understood, Prabhu. What is that example? Parrot. Two parrots are there. One parrot.
नहीं एक
One
कोई भी एक
parrot.
पैरेट हो, रक्षा माता
वो
ये
अलग
कहती है
वाला प्रभु जी, वो 2 पैरेट वाला अलग है।
Okay.
वो तो सुपर सोल इंडिविजुअल सोल का
हाँ,
डिफरेंट है।
हाँ.
वो
इसमें
आत्मा
जो
और परमात्मा है।
यहाँ तो एग्जांपल ये है, रक्षा माता फिर से एक्सप्लेन कीजिए।
हाँ, यहाँ पे एक है कि अगर एक पैरेट जो है वो ग्रीन कलर के झाड़ पे बैठा है, इट डज नॉट मीन कि वो उसमें मर्ज हो गया है। वो अपना आइडेंटिटी लूज नहीं करता है, पैरेट पैरेट है ही, मगर हमें दिखता नहीं है कि वो ग्रीन ग्रीन है इसलिए।
Yes, समझ गया. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the final conclusion. Actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti's insights on the nature of the Atman and relationship with the Supreme Paramatman provides a profound understanding of the eternal essence of the Atman. अब हम समझ रहे हैं? In true sense, he helps us to understand what is the difference between the Atman and Paramatmans. Okay, and he also explained the difference between different Atmans, plurality of the Atmans. His philosophical exploration emphasizes that while the Atman appears to undergo cycles of birth and death through its designative coverings, upadhis, its true nature remains unblemished and eternal. The true nature means what? Satchit Ananda, that remains. It's the upadhis which gives different kind of designations. The distinctions made between Atman and upadhis, along with the concept of liberation. So now everybody is clear now, right? What is the difference between upadhis and Atman? And what is the true liberation?
Yes, Prabhu.
True liberation in what?
Yes.
Dropping
Shuttle and gross both body should be dropped.
upadhis.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that upadhis must be shared upadhis, Then that's called true liberation. Highlight the importance of recognizing one's true identity beyond material designation by understanding that the Atman is inherently connected to the Supreme and is not subject to creation or destruction. Individuals can cultivate a deeper spiritual awareness and strive for liberation from the limitations of material existence. You understand this particular point, this theme? We discussed now quite a bit.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's use of analogies and scriptural references reinforce the timeless nature of these teachings, inviting seekers to reflect on their spiritual journey. Ultimately, the aspiration for liberation is not merely about returning to the Supreme, but also about realizing one's intrinsic nature and the unity that exists within all beings. So even after liberation, we are meant to serve the Supreme. Okay. This holistic understanding encourages compassion and a sense of interconnectedness, guiding individuals toward a more profound experience of life and spirituality. So the whole entire life in this material world and then spirituality in terms of liberation, we must have a clear, crystal clear concept. I hope everybody is with me on this now, right? So let's
प्रभु जी, बहुत ही अच्छा रियलाइजेशन आया कि भगवान परमात्मा रूप में हमारे साथ में है फ्रॉम बिगिनिंग। जब तक हमारा रियल मुक्ति नहीं होता है तब तक वो हमारे साथ है। फिर भगवान बोलेंगे अभी ये आ गया, अभी उसका साथ, तब हमारा वो साथ छोड़ सकते हैं अभी।
Then there is no need for Paramatma. Paramatma is there during a material existence. Because he's guiding. Okay, verse 32, delusion of material philosophies. VCT inserts that numerous philosophical systems, despite their claims of offering profound wisdom remain entrapped in Krishna's illusory potency Maya. So this pervasive delusion leads individuals astray in the true essence of spiritual realization. आप समझ पाइए ये sentence? Complex sentence है. Let me read again. VCT asserts that numerous philosophical systems that we discussed about that, Shadadarshana, despite their claims of offering profound wisdom, remains entrapped in Krishna's illusory potency Maya. So this pervasive delusion leads individuals to astray from the true essence of spiritual realization. From the Vaishnava perspective, so Shadadarshana, when we discuss, there's a Vaishnava aspect of it also. We'll talk about it. Authentic understanding emerges not from intellectual banter, but from recognizing this delusion and earnestly seeking enlightenment through Krishna Bhakti, that means achieved through heartfelt devotional service. So now about the nature of the devotional service Bhakti. Vaishnavas express the deep love for Krishna through diverse devotional moods. Now this is a higher level of Bhakti, obviously, because now we are talking about this personal relationship with increasing degree of closeness. Okay. Dasya rasa, friendship. So gradually we keep closer and closer relationship. Dasya, friendship, parental love, and conjugal love. दो फ्रेंड होते हैं, there is limited interaction, right? मगर ये दो फ्रेंड जो मास्टर और सर्वेंट, लिमिटेड रिलेशनशिप इज देयर. पर मास्टर सर्वेंट जब फ्रेंड बन जाते हैं तो ग्रेटर डिग्री ऑफ क्लोजनेस है. उससे भी ज्यादा क्लोजनेस आती है मदर एंड सन, फादर एंड सन, लाइक दैट, मदर एंड डॉटर, वो पेरेंटल लव. पर इससे भी क्लोजनेस ज्यादा होती है कब, जब कॉन्जुगल लव में पति पत्नी बहुत क्लोज होती है ना, दे नो each the secrets, so that is what, it's a different degree of closeness is there. This is not mere ritualistic practice, it is a profound emotional and personal connection, and that's why I'm telling you different degree of personal connection is there. But nonetheless, all these 5 sets of mukti is way beyond than ordinary things we are talking about. This is not mere, so in these 5 kinds of relationship, we have a personal relationship with the Supreme. That's what its meaning is here. This is not mere realistic practice, ritualistic practice. It is a profound emotional and personal connection. So that 2 words, keywords, emotional and personal. Emotional degree of is there limited in the Dasya rasa, but the highest in the conjugal rasa. The joy derived from such devotion is transformative, uplifting, and immensely inspiring. See, the 3 key words are there. Transformative, our very consciousness is transforming. Uplifting, we are going upward. And immensely inspiring. It forges an intimate link between the devotee and the ultimate source of existence, allowing them to experience bliss, pravaha, prabhavaha, ullasa at every moment. Fearlessness through surrender, शरणागति. परीक्षित महाराज जब ये पूरी भागवत कथा सुनी उन्होंने from Sukhdev Goswami, what fear he had before about this Takshaka Naga who is going to bite him to death, the great fire of the poison, he was afraid of that. But after the end, then he says that I've lost all fear, now I'm ready. That's what he said. So that is the power of hearing Bhagavatam, meaning the power of hearing Krishna Katha, the pastimes of the Supreme Lord enacted, especially in Vraja. Liberation through devotion, philosophical understanding and devotion. Detractors may argue that Vaishnavas lack the analytical depth essential for liberation from material entanglements. However, the personified Vedas firmly rebut this claim, stressing that it is devotion, not mere scholarly knowledge. So again, bhakti has the supremacy over jnana. That's what it's saying there. The role of the time in fear. VCT uses the striking imagery for Krishna furrowing eyebrows to evoke the fear. Okay, yeah. कहते हैं कि वो verse है about all these different demigods, sun showing the life, and all these things, they are fearful of Krishna. If they don't do that, then they don't know what will happen, This fear encourages anxiety about disease, death, and suffering. In stark contrast, those who surrender to Krishna discover lasting security and peace. Eternal nature of the Atman that we have discussed enough. Okay, I think now the 32. Marginal position of this also we discussed about it. The atomic part, we are being atomic part. Philosophical essence of Vaishnavism. This is good. In contrast to conventional philosophical arguments that often seek to establish opposing viewpoints, Vaishnavism offers a distinctive approach to spirituality. It emphasizes the worship of Krishna, positioning devotion as the core that harmonizes all scriptures and philosophies, further umbrella of loving service. So this Vaishnavism aspect, it really allows us to see the scriptures in the right sense, actually. VCT asserts that the realization of Supreme as personal God, available for a devotional personal relationship, that's what it counts. There's the ultimate culmination of Vedanta philosophy. And again, there's a Vaishnava aspect of Vedanta philosophy, okay? Understanding of the Supreme, the absolute truth or reality can be comprehended through this key aspect, Brahman, the impersonal Brahman, Paramatman, that is Akshara Vishnu, and Bhagavan Shri Krishna, Bhagavan realization. And this is best explained in the Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Okay, all these scriptural references that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes, so I won't go into that. Nature of the mind. The mind is it's like impetuous horse. So just like a wild horse, very difficult to control. So mind, if it's difficult, it's very difficult, So control of the mind is very important. Role of the spiritual master who helped us to understand the ambiguity in the Shastra, depending upon the time, place, and circumstances. So Guru Bhakti is essential. Conclusion, the teaching emphasizes that the chaotic nature of the mind can only be mastered through dedicated service and devotion to a qualified spiritual master. These relationships not only provide a guidance, but also anchors the practitioner in the spiritual journey for a deeper understanding of the divine. So Guru does two things actually. He helps us to understand scriptures, and he helps us to link through the scriptures the Supreme Being. So in both aspects, Guru helps us. Guru is the medium by which we connect with ourselves with the Supreme. Again, these are scriptural references. The supreme place of bhakti, that also we have discussed quite a bit now. Supreme pleasure in rendering bhakti. So bhakti is performed always with joy, not as a chore. Detachment from material desires. Material desires are gradually dissipated because they are transformed into spiritual desire. We are not killing material desires, okay? We are simply transforming into spiritual desires. Transitory nature of sense gratification, because we learn The sense gratification we never fulfill. So that is transitory. The illusion of material happiness is never a lasting happiness. Scriptural support, then again the scriptural references are there. So conclusion, VCT offers a profound exploration of the transformative nature of pure devotion and its powerful impact on a devotee's life. So it's obvious, the conclusion is obvious. Renunciation of material attachment, that's also obvious. The power of the Lord's lotus feet, that's again bhakti. Krishna's grace, nothing can compare to that. If his grace is there, everything is possible. Only by his grace, even bhakti alone, मांगने से भक्ति भी नहीं मिलती है. भगवान की मर्जी हो, भगवान का ग्रेस हो, फिर हम भक्ति में आ सकते हैं. And that is given significance of living in sacred cities, and especially Mathura, जहाँ भगवान की लीलाएं हुई है, उस जगह पे रहने से उसकी इन्फ्लुएंस भी आती है हमारे कॉन्शियसनेस पे. Meditation, the supreme form. Conclusion. Good. So that ends it. Sorry about, but we were discussing at the same time when I was telling you all these things. So there's not much time for questions, but let's see. So far, whatever I discussed, did it go through you?
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वंडरफुल क्लास. प्रभु जी, जो मैं समझी हूँ वे बताती शॉर्ट में कि पहले तो गुरु शिष्य परंपरा में रहना चाहिए, अंडर उनके गाइडेंस में भक्ति करनी चाहिए, स्क्रिप्चर का स्टडी करना चाहिए, तब हम आगे जाके. और लिबरेशन क्या है? लिबरेशन जो है वो सटल और ग्रोथ बॉडी जब हम ड्रॉप करते हैं और हम अपनी रियल पोजीशन में आते हैं, स्वरूप हमारा जो नित्य स्वरूप जो है एटर्नल वर्ल्ड में, वो हमें वो रियल लिबरेशन है.
बिल्कुल ठीक कहा आपने, बिल्कुल ठीक कहा.
वो मैं समझ सकी, बस इतना प्रभु जी.
आप अच्छी तरह समझ पाइए. बहन जी, आप समझ पाए? बहन जी.
Thank you, Bhai ji. It's very today is very clear. This is very interesting also.
अब आप समझ पाए आत्मन क्या है, आत्मन क्या है, समझ पाए ना? जीवात्मा.
Yes, Bhai ji. Atman is pure soul, and the when soul is affected by these three modes of guna, prakriti.
So, the physical body will be the जीवात्मा, right?
And
परमात्मा तो आप जानती है.
Yes.
सर प्रभु, नो, राधा विनोद प्रभु, आप कुछ कह रहे थे ना?
Yeah, so Prabhuji, I'm just trying to go back trying to understand. One is the Jivatman and the Upadhi. So is it both are same?
Jivatman, and they are the same in the sense, Jiva, the Atman, except the material body.
Correct. And Upadhi is also material body. Upadhi is also body.
So that is the same meaning actually.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I want. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So this outer coverings are serving like a upadhi, you know. That's the default. It's going to give us clashes. Clashes means difficulties in our life.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other points, questions? Prasad Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, it is very clear, Prabhu. Wonderful session, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's
wonderful session.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanush Pranam. So wonderful class. So the fact that I liked, I mean, of course, understood the whole concept, but I think you and Raksha Mataji, you pointed out like how the Lord in this world also accompany as Paramatma. And then he does so, like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, to the point of digestion, food, moon, everything he help us invisibly, no, not asking anything. And then when we give up this upadhi, when we restore back our true nature, then okay, then he reveal gradually his real form. Also, I like the aspect that the bhakti is not dry core; it is emotion, right? So even through that, I'm trying to learn. Like when I was in Japan along with you, you saw that the devotees they like gifted me. I was not willing, but they forcibly gave us Gaur-Mithai deities that go worship every day. So now trying to develop that relation that and I feel now like how the deities they through that like they are gradually making that change and this Bhagavatam class. And finally, one more point I could see that also like you mentioned that no matter how much there is sense gratification, one of the Prabhujis pointed that the amount of sense gratification, the complete sense gratification available, even if given to one person, still he will not be satisfied, he or she. So much, so much. So, but bhakti is very much satisfying. So that is wonderful, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Okay, so everything is okay now.
In other words, we can say कि झाड़ एंड चेतन की ग्रंथि है हम मैटर और जो चेतन आत्मा है उनकी ग्रंथि से हम बंध गए हैं
हृदय ग्रंथि कहते हैं ना, वो वर्ष में आते हैं ना.
यस यस यस
छिंद्य सर्व संशय क्षयन्ति चास्य कर्माणि दृष्टैवात्मनि. So that tight note, the tight affinity we have for material sense gratification, it's very difficult. We cannot get it over by our own efforts. We take the help of the Supreme Lord through bhakti, and bhakti gives jnana and vairagya. That's how we come. And slowly but gradually, our consciousness is transforming ourselves within our very eyes. We can actually experience that. 9th chapter in Bhagavad Gita says that pratyaksha avagamam. We feel the transformation taking place in our body, in our consciousness. That's the beauty part of it.
And Prabhu, like you also taught us like how Lord Brahma, when he come to material world, he injects all this ignorance, avidya,
5 layers of ignorance.
tamas. Oh, that's so much we have to. Lord has to do so much
Because
first to make
his
us
job,
forget, then to make us remember.
because when we because of material or karmas are there, a consciousness of impure is impure. So in order to learn this thing, that's the reason he created these outer coverings, so that we can become engaged in the material world. And two aspect, fully satisfy our material desires, make an attempt, but it will never happen that, right? Unless you take the bhakti platform. Then gradually we come to the liberation stage. We become qualified to attain liberation. Then these 5 layers of ignorance automatically drops. That they are the outer manifestation of this subtle body, gross and subtle body, upadhis. All right, thank you.
तो प्रभु जी फिर भी यहाँ पे एक ऐसा पॉइंट आता है कि भगवान ने जो फ्री विल दी है उसका हम कैसे कर सके अल्टीमेटली वी हैव टू यूज अवर फ्री विल.
Yeah, that aspect we'll talk about 11th and 12th kind of both. Okay, in much greater detail. The supreme will, our own free will, and what is the destiny. We have a limited power to use our free will, Okay, I think the time. Mataji, can you do Raksha Mataji? Anybody else is there? Oh, Raksha Mataji, can you do this?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai ho. नमस्ते नरसिंहाय नमस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रलयजलाददायिने प्रलयजलाददायिने हिरण्यकशिपूर्वक्षः हिरण्यकशिपूर्वक्षः तिलटङ्कानखालाये तिला टंका न खालाए इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा बहिर नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा बहिर नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये तव करकमलवरे अतूत श्रृंगार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृंगा केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय हो नरसिंह देव नरसिंह देव नरसिंह देव जय हो नरसिंह देव जय हो प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय हो प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव श्री श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह भगवान की जय हो भक्त शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की जय हो श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय हो चैतन्य श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हो सर्व भक्तों की जय हो हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे सबको
जय
दंडवत
श्री
प्रणाम हैप्पी एकादशी टू ऑल
जय श्री प्रभुपाद.
Madanji, thank
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 you,
you,
you.
Chandrabhai.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Chandrabhai, for wonderful
So
class.
tomorrow
yes see you tomorrow
we'll talk about lesson 133. Okay. A. Hari
yes
Bol.
sir Hari Bol.
Thank you. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.